three. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna, with everybody's permission, I wanna move up the,
With Mia?
no. Actually, I have to move Andrea up, because she would like to be in on phone.
Phone for.
But she's only available till 7 o'clock.
Trace?
Let me see if I can get her. Yeah, they're there.
She gave me here.
Okay.
She's got half an hour to call.
Well, hopefully she's gonna see that.
Oh, she says she'll be a couple, she just texted me, she'll be a couple minutes late to the
All
call.
right.
So we can
Is she
click
gonna
her
call us?
second.
call
Should I
you
tell
or
her
me?
to call? Okay.
Steve? It was a copy, but over there.
Oh, she's calling you.
That's the agenda.
She's already calling you
It's
back.
probably not all-
Call you back, Steve.
Andrea. You there?
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, sorry about that.
That's all right, no
Finishing
problem.
up my sound test.
Okay, we just called the meeting to order. Can everybody hear Andrea?
Hey, Andrea.
Hi.
Hello, everybody.
Okay, can you hear everybody good?
Yeah, okay.
All right. Let us know if we fade in and out. All right, so we've moved up the agenda item 2E, traffic control devices.
Three.
And let me see. Has everybody had a chance to see what Andrea has submitted? We discussed this last meeting about having a uniform referral procedure for items that are coming across our table here for traffic control measures. Now, I would also, in my mind, part of this was referring not just traffic calming devices, but things like, 2-hour parking and things like that, that we wanted, we would like to have another opinion from safety. Not that that's really a traffic calming measure, but there's certain things come before us that we like to get some input from, the police chief, fire chief, whoever, so.
Yeah, Steve, if you look at, the attachment to the communication is slightly different from the copy that you should all have.
Okay.
Did you get the new copy as of today?
Yes. Is that the new one?
That's the one that Ed had.
Yes.
Right.
So I guess I gave it to him before his left.
Okay,
Everybody has, so if you look at the
Yes.
title of that, it actually does, I added, we talked about this last month, so we did
All right,
add that
okay.
to it, so you notice how it says parking devices as well.
okay, very good, I didn't see
Yeah.
that. Okay, all right, good, I just wanna make sure we're all on the same page with this. And we also have, actually, I didn't see this online before, until Ed showed me the actual referral. So that's good, that was my first question.
Right, and so what our plan with that is, Kyle is going to have that all online, so people can submit their requests right online, and then that would be sent to the engineer, and we're working on a way that the alderman of whatever, whichever board the issue is, will be able to keep track.
Right,
And, make sure that the constituent is kept in the loop with all of that.
okay,
So, that's where that form is gonna be.
okay, Tony, got a question?
So, Andrea, it's Tony here, sitting in. So
That's fine.
this request form, you're saying somebody wants to remove a handicap sign. They have to fill this out?
Or the alderman can fill it out.
Yeah,
Okay, so we would have to
But
fill.
that's
Should
one
we-
thing, because
should
we
we
talked
do it across
about
the
that,
board, do you
I
think?
met with, John and
Okay, actually, I just asked Dan if he thought we should do it across the board. I mean, I don't think we really need them for handicap, but,
My position is that the form should be used for absolutely everything, and the engineer should have the opportunity to just check a box and say no impact on traffic.
okay,
Or
yeah.
no impact on, just so that
Yeah,
there
yeah,
is a
you think
uniform.
Because otherwise, we're
That's
leaving
what
it
we
up to
were
somebody's
Because there
discretion.
might
Right.
be an impact of a handicap spot on traffic flow, depending on the size of the street, the nature of the street, and, access for emergency vehicles. It just gives,
Okay.
it creates a uniform process, it goes to the engineer decides whether or not there's an impact, and then it comes back to you, and there's a paper trail that establishes that yet, that you
Okay,
exercise due diligence to look into whether or not there was an issue.
okay. All right, so I guess we'll use it in all instances, and that will take any of the guesswork off the alderman or whoever's making the referral. We'll refer everything.
So this would not, so we wouldn't have to send communication to the alderman at large or all the person at large anymore to get on a communication?
I think that the process, it would be submitted to the engineer, and then I don't think we discussed that as the engineer would then send it, I think the engineer would then send it as a communication. Or. the
So he-
alderman. I mean,
is
we
he gonna
figured
send-
that
is he gonna send it to-
I don't think that's included in the procedure that we came up with.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anybody has any opinions on that.
Well, I think, not to put words in Tony's mouth, I think Tony's just wondering who it should go to assign it to committee, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I think the easiest thing would be if the engineer on a monthly basis would submit a two-line communication that says, I've received these requests during the course of the month from, individuals. Here are, copies of my recommendations with regard to each of them. He then sends it to the alderman at large, the alderman at large then sends it to public safety.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be the same
Right.
uniform communication every
Okay.
month. I received these this month.
All right.
So that'll stay the same, the time frame will stay the same, we'll have to have it, before our council meeting as a communication. Those things won't change at all.
This is going to affect after my thing today? I'm not saying this not to do
Yeah, we'll
communication.
squeeze you into that.
All right, thank you.
All right. Now, see, this is, I don't know, does this need a resolution to use,
Mhm.
or is this
A
just?
resolution to adopt the policy outlined
In this form.
Okay,
Correct.
all right. Okay, does anybody have any questions about this? I mean, I think this is certainly something we need. We have been kind of helter-skelter with these referrals. And then sometimes we're scrambling at the 11th hour trying to get an opinion from somebody, another office. So, anybody have any other questions?
I just think, uniformity is a good way. It goes to one place, they have a copy, alderman gets a copy, and
Yeah.
we can take it from there. And you're saying that the residents can do this as well. This is gonna be online?
Yeah, this is all gonna be online, but what I wanna make sure, what I, talked to John about is that the alderman of whatever ward, so if a resident just submits it, the alderman should be alerted that it's going, so that
Correct.
they know what's going on, and then they can see that, make sure that the constituent stays in the loop as well.
Okay, that's why I wanna make sure, okay.
Yeah, and then, my only other comment is for caucus, I arranged for John to come and talk to us about some of the guidelines that he will be using, so just a heads up that that's gonna happen too.
Okay.
All right. So, the president can also make a decision whether this is even warranted or not. I guess that would fall on his shoulders.
Right.
If somebody makes a referral that, is really not necessary. Okay. All right. Anybody? Any further questions? Everybody
Nope.
good?
Good.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Let me just,
Do we need her anymore?
what?
Do we need
Actually,
Andrea?
you don't even have to.
Do we
You
need
don't even
Andrea?
have to vote.
Yeah, I'm good. Does anybody else have anything?
Oh, I
for
thought
me?
you meant you.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Thank
So
you.
you're good, Andrea.
Okay, great, I'm off rehearsal.
All right, thanks, take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Take a light.
Okay. procedure.
adopt the
Adopt.
policy set forth.
Attached. Guys,
Okay. So, committee report reads, resolution to adopt a policy for referral of traffic control devices and parking controls in the city of Kingston as per the attached.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. All right, we'll move back up, but this is Renee's speed limit reduction communication. Does anybody want to speak to that? Or shall we wait for Renee to be here?
He's not gonna be here today.
Well,
No,
I was
Well,
asking
yeah, I
to
mean,
comment
I
if
think,
there was
yeah.
any questions
Yeah.
about it. Basically, it's just a communication for you guys to send forward to go to the state to request to drop the speed limit from, well, to 25 miles an hour.
All right.
So this is.
Well, actually, it's only to allow us to drop it, right?
Yes.
Not for them to do it.
Yes,
All right, so then that really, that gives us the option of doing it.
yes,
Because I think there's a lot of questions about it.
there is.
I mean, I've
It's
certainly
just a
been-
formal letter to the state to, would it happen? I don't know.
Right.
It's just with everything coming from the safety forum that we had and the interest in traffic calming devices and the speed control and the enforcement, it just might be
Okay.
something to look at to
Yeah.
further that along.
I mean, I've looked at, various things online, and certainly a mixed bag. A lot of people don't think that does anything to lower the speed limit. It's gonna come down to enforcement at the end anyway. So, but I guess it's nice for us to have the luxury of being able to make that decision.
And then if it comes back and the state says, yes, you can use that process you just agreed to send it to the engineer for the engineer to make comments on whether or not it's viable and whether or not it is.
That was gonna be my question.
appropriate.
Okay.
I mean, the timing would be perfect.
Will we have to have a public meeting on, public comment period on this to do something like this?
On what? On this?
If we got permission, if we decide to lower it? Yeah, okay. My question on this is that, has it been discussed about law enforcement enforcing the speed limit?
No, I think we need a discussion about it.
Correct.
But if the state says, no, we don't have the ability, then there's no
Okay.
need for discussion.
Don't take it any farther. It's-
Yeah,
they
so I
say
think
no-
that-
There's no sense in doing the research and the time
Right,
spent. in,
I think this is a proper first step.
And if you return to the policy you just adopted, the engineer, when appropriate, will refer it to DPW and the police department for comment.
Okay.
So that's all part of this process that you just agreed to.
Okay,
So I move the resolution.
let me write it up first.
I know what you're
Not
gonna
bad.
write.
You're jumping the gun here.
Okay.
seen this address. You got this, didn't you?
Yeah. That's Rita's word, isn't it? Is it yours?
It's sent to me because Community Development Committee.
Ah.
I remember seeing it. Is it a big tree? Bus Street, is that where? Why we move it?
I think it's not that it's a big tree, but it's that's what I think. The woman just put a. Oh. I have to look through my notes.
Yeah.
Now, the committee report reads, "A resolution to request that the state of New York allow the city of Kingston to have the authority to establish a 25 mile-an-hour speed limit."
I so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Thank you. Okay, and, all right, Tony, you want to speak about this, the third one?
The 2B is remove a handicap at 32 Progress Street. And I've been informed that the resident who had that no longer lives in the city of Kingston or resides at that address. And that is why I'm requesting to have it removed,
This is 32.
32 Progress Street. And then 2C, removal of 1 hour parking. And it's an ongoing debate over on Timbrook Avenue, and residents were ticketed outside their house because the way the signage says, 2 hour parking. And so that was rectified there. But speaking to the two residents, you have to include 108 as well as 112 Timbrook Avenue. I spoke to both residents and owners, and they do not want the 2 hour parking in front of their home any longer. And I believe, I don't know why it was there. And there was a business at one time, insurance firm, Knockaround Insurance Firm, that's no longer on that street in front of 108 Timbrook Avenue. So that the residents requested to have those two, 1 hour, 2 hour.
All right, let me do this. So we have a resolution to remove handicap sign and zone from 32 Progress Street.
That's
Didn't
correct.
we do this already, or was that another one, similar to
That was a
this?
different
It
one.
wasn't 32
All
Progress.
right, all right, all right.
So 32 Progress is a handicap sign, just to remove it, and then you have another
Let me
resolution
do
for the
this
other one?
first.
Okay.
All right, motion,
Motion.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Are you voting tonight?
No, I'm not voting, you guys have enough cards.
You can't vote.
Yeah.
I'm helping you sign. I'm going down that way.
You're
That's
just
the next
passing
one.
it on, yeah.
Gotta get ready for Jamaica,
Are you going to Jamaica?
When are you leaving?
Friday morning, Friday early.
It's my birthday.
Where are you going?
Jamaica.
I know, but where?
We're going to some wedding, so my daughter's in a wedding now. So, I don't know what,
I went there
I don't know
once.
what, where we're going, I don't know what the name of the complex. Okay. So again, this one, C should be 108 and 112 Timbrook Avenue.
What is it?
108 and 112 Timbrook Avenue.
And was this one that we confirmed that actually was in the code? Or is this one we need to look up?
I'm not sure.
Because
I
what we
believe-
have discovered is that a number of these 2 hour parking zones are actually never authorized in the first place. So if it's not authorized, you don't have to adopt anything, it can just take it down.
I believe when I spoke to your Mary Jo, I think she got back to me and said that. I don't think it's.
It was confirmed.
Correct, Mary Jo. But I was already in progress of doing this anyway, so that's why it's still going through, so.
And that was an old insurance company. that
Correct.
No longer
That
exists.
no longer exists, no. So residents now.
And what's the street again?
Timbrook Avenue?
Across from your ARC.
Yeah. We had 3 parking signs on there.
Okay, so we have a resolution to remove 1 hour parking sign and zone from 112 and 108 Tenbrook Avenue. Motion?
Motion.
Second.
My deed is done.
Thank you for signing.
Yeah, we got one more big one in there. All right, gents.
Is that this over here? So it's not according to address. Would that be this? 2 hour parking from 287 feet north of Fire Street to 100 feet north thereof. So it doesn't go by address.
I think you made the motion and I seconded.
Oh, okay,
Uh,
sorry.
I make the motion.
I'm all right.
Second.
And we're on film too, right?
Yeah.
2 hour parking, yes. So you said 2 hour parking, so that would be 120, so this is the only one that's 120, so is that what you're talking about?
Okay. Linda, you wanna come up here?
Sure.
Okay, if everybody will recall here,
Hi.
Hi. Hi.
there's only 3 of us here. And actually, this is really Rita's, and Rita was gonna do some homework on this. But this is Linda Summer, and she requested a 2-hour zone in front of her house.
No,
Not in front of your house.
this
no.
is not my house. So let me
business,
give,
okay.
yeah, let me give it some
Okay.
background.
You explain it.
So
There we go.
my husband operates a podiatry practice. It's been in existence since 1964. My father-in-law founded it. And my husband's practiced there from 1987 to current. Our patients are typically, in fact, 75 to 80% of our patients are senior citizens. In many cases, due to the nature of the business, it's a foot crack, he takes care of feet. Our patients are not mobile always, or lack complete mobility. There was, in 2012, I believe, we requested, we have a handicap sign right in front, one handicap sign, which our patients use, because so many of them are handicapped. In addition, a lot of our other patients, being elderly and not completely mobile, working with walkers, etc., need access to our office. In 2012, we requested a sign. We requested 2 signs. They were put across the street, and they were removed. For 6 years, they were there. It's my recollection, and I'm not sure of the exact date, so you'll excuse me.
What were the signs?
They said 2-hour parking, and it seemed to work for us. Our biggest problem, and I'll tell you what's happening. What happens with our street? Our street is the first unmetered parking street from uptown. So I've taken the liberty of taking some pictures of, so what happens is the county employees and uptown workers park on our block because it's unmetered.
Same as my block.
And they stay there the whole day. So this is on July 18th, and I'll ask you, this is at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'll ask you to look at those pictures. On 7/22, I went back and I took another picture. This is our block, and it's completely filled. That's at 11:42. And yesterday, I went back, and at 12:05, you'll see the same thing. The block is completely full, and our patients are either forced to park on the metered block, which some of them are having difficulty. We actually have patients calling us and saying, I have your appointment, I came to the office, I can't get in because I can't get into the office because of parking access. So I just wanted to show you what happens on the metered block. On the metered block, this is the same time frame. So nobody is on the metered block. These are county and uptown, because we watch it. We watch it. We know what's happening in our neighborhood. And this is another picture that corresponds to it. So our real problem, what we're really asking for is 2-hour parking Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 to be placed in near proximity to our office. Now, it doesn't have to be, directly across the street. It can be slightly, just so that our patients have access and they're not coming from St. James, or they're not coming from 2 blocks down on Fair, or they're not coming from Maiden Lane or Pearl. And so that is our request. I just want to make everyone really comfortable with the fact that when we requested these signs, we went through our alderman. We assumed. I also took the liberty to speak to the mayor at the time. He said he believed a resolution was there for these signs. The signs were removed in 2018, I believe. I'm not sure the exact time. Because what we noticed is that all of a sudden we're having this big problem with our patients getting in. And so we're here to request that. I also took the liberty to just go around my neighborhood and see that there's precedent. This is a 1 hour, 9 to 5 parking on Wall. Some of them are on Smith, but this is St. James. This is St. James, 1 hour parking, 20-minute parking. So I think that there's been, I'm just pointing out the fact that there's been precedent to accommodate businesses. Now, if our medical practice was serving the whole community, you wouldn't see me here, because I think everyone should be able to walk down the street. But our community, our practice is specifically, we treat senior citizens. And I always hear that Kingston wants to keep their senior citizens and keep them in our community. And I think this is just, if we want to have a practice that works, my husband sees senior citizens that have a lot of health issues. And I feel really strongly that we want to continue accommodating them. And of course, it's in our best interest to do so. With me today is Rob Jacobson. Our block is residential. Let me explain to you that one other piece. Our block is residential. That at one point they tried to put meters in, which wasn't fair to the residents of the block. I brought Rob and Phil, and Rob he's the only other business on our block. He's an attorney, and he does have parking behind his building, which we do not. We have enough parking to put our employees there, but not our patients. There's no way to turn around because of how close we are to the neighbors. Phil is the neighbor.
I'm a resident across the street from her. I watch it all day long of people that can't get into her office or have to stop traffic to unload a senior citizen out of a car to get them into the office because there's absolutely no park. Even me as a resident, I can't park in front of my place. I have everybody that works uptown take up our whole block, and I can't park. It's like the whole entire year has been terrible.
What is the address?
It's 190 Fair Street.
190. Now, maybe I'm incorrect, but a month ago I went over there and looked at it. And do I have the wrong? But I had the impression between your business, behind you, there was a big parking space in back of the building.
That's Rob's. That's 185. You're looking at 185. That's Rob's building. That's not ours.
She has the yellow one.
We have the yellow Victorian
On the other side of the street.
on the other side of the street.
Okay, let me just refresh in case anybody doesn't remember this. I'm sure everybody remembers. There is no record whatsoever that this was approved to have a 2-hour parking sign. It was up, to be sure. There's no mistaking that. It was taken down. We're not quite sure why it was taken down, but we can find no legislation that put that sign up there.
Steve, can I ask if that's been checked, like, recently? Because so I spoke with Mayor Satile, because I was just curious, because I went through the proper channels originally to get these signs, and he thought that there was a resolution, but that's neither, either there is or there isn't, but what really from this day forward, what we're requesting is two hour parking.
So this was, did you check this, who checked?
Well, this,
Who spoke to this?
there is no resolution for any signs.
Yeah.
Therefore, I think with parking enforcement, realizing that there was no parking, no resolution for these signs, they were then taken down.
Right.
My department just does what we have to do. I mean,
That's an educated guess, though, right?
So, unless I have a piece of paper that says put them back up, I cannot put them up.
Right.
So if that was some kind of deal back with Sotile or some other era, maybe it went up.
And I'm
but
guessing it
done
was an
without a piece of
executive
paper.
order, you know, that he did.
He thinks, so we hit from, I'm only relaying what he said that he would not do a 2-hour parking without a resolution, but look, I'm only telling you what,
Okay.
and so, but that's neither,
Yeah.
that, I'm
It's not on the
happy
code, it's
that,
not on the code.
we're
It's-
starting,
Right.
we're starting from now, and I'm just.
It's a moot point right now.
It's a moot point
Right.
right now, because what we have is, we have patients calling us saying, I came to your office and I showed up for my appointment, but I can't get in. And I don't know, so we walk our patients out, if you're in the neighborhood, we do everything except carry them in and out of our office.
I will say that, I'm on the phone all day long, I look out the window all day long, and I see this, and, her staff, the secretaries, they're helping elderly people in and out, sometimes it's a husband and wife, one can barely get out, but they're the driver, it's very, very difficult. Wintertime, even worse.
Yeah.
With the snowbanks, the ice, they can't find a place. A lot of times they end up pulling up in front of my building, right where my entrance is, because it's the only place where there's not a snowbank, so they can kind of get out and then they shuffle across the street. I have noticed the biggest issue with the neighborhood has been the past 4 or 5 months. And the crux of it is the county and the state. You've gotten rid of family court, you don't have place for jurors to park, you don't have place for county employees to park. You go up to the county building, the entire parking lot is reserved parking for employees. There's no place for people to park. The county building itself, the parking lot with their own employees is almost full by 8:45. I have staff that work on a regular full-time basis that I pay that do my title searching in the county. You can't get parking up there. We always walk up to the county building. And I watch these people come in, 8:30, 8:45 in the morning, they park their cars, and they start hoofing it uptown, because we're the closest block to the county building, the courts, and the bank. The county building has encouraged their employees to go park over in Clinton Avenue, because it's a wider street, park down by United Methodist Church. They won't do it on rainy days, they won't do it in the snow because of the snow banks and the ice, so we're getting the brunt of all these people. And I think really as a council, aside from this, because this is needed for this particular practice, I think you guys really need to talk to the mayor and have a discussion with the county, and figure out if there's somehow they have the jail, it's empty, do a shuttle bus in the morning. UCAT just took over the city bus system. Send a shuttle with 40 employees up to the county building every day at 8:45 and 4:15, and you get rid of 40 cars that are in our streets. Because this parking's becoming a problem for all the mom and pop businesses. Another colleague of mine, he has a practice on Lucas. He's probably gonna be going through this process because he just asked me about it the other day because I sit on the planning board. He's got every jurors, they're all parked in front of his building on Lucas because they can't park across the street anymore, and they hoof it up the hill into the lots. I go to his place, we can't find parking for closings. It's becoming a real issue for businesses that are the small mom and pop businesses because of these employees.
Yeah, I think everybody understands that, but that's part of the problem right there, because, as you said, there's a lot of businesses there that would like to have a 2 hours, and especially if they see a 2-hour sign going back up, they're like, well, why not me?
Yeah, that's my
Everybody-
issue.
Well,
How is your business different than
Well,
anyone else's?
Our
Our business has
our
handicapped
bu-
people and elderly people that
That's
need
right,
the
that's
2-hour
how it's
parking.
different.
Well,
Yeah.
any, and
That's the issue.
Well,
First
here's the other issue is, excuse me, Doug, you have a handicap parking in front.
Right,
Anybody can park in there as long as you have a
you're
handicap sign.
absolutely right, but that.
The same holds true for 2-hour parking.
I-
Anybody can park there.
We understand
But the
that, and we
2 hour
had it for 6 years, so we
It
know
moved.
that, we know it worked, but it worked for us.
It moved because the county employees aren't parking there, because your staff is going around and the meter people are going around who are like stealth lightning and just pop out of the corners, and bam, they hit you with a ticket, because
Yeah.
they're timing these people. And that's the real issue. I mean, once the cars park, they park. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I know there's county executives that are on the county payroll that are parking on our street because they don't even want to park in the lot because they got nice
Yeah.
cars and they don't want to get dinged.
Well,
I mean,
and
you
once
can go down the
again,
street,
And
so
if
you
you
see
notice
them.
this just comes down to enforcement. I mean, we can put up signs, but people can
Oh,
park
they
there for 8
enforce
hours,
it.
but
Oh,
nobody.
your staff enforces very well
No,
uptown.
it was, they were, it wasn't enforced,
Yeah.
the signs were there.
I mean, do
I
you want me to
had,
go
I had,
and
I had
enforce
2
some
tickets
signs?
myself.
Well, we got 6
Hold on,
people
there's a
talking.
sound. All right, John, go ahead.
Can we shrink it to one at a time, please?
This is more of a generic comment on this particular spot. Obviously, our staff can enforce hour limit parking, obviously, they enforce the meter parking. The meter parking is less time intensive, it's red or green, it's very simple for them to do. The hour limit parking is more time intensive for them because it does take multiple visits. It's not something that they would necessarily do every day at every
Right.
location, but just so everyone's aware of, it is a little more time intensive to do that. We have hour limit parking throughout the city now. They do their best to do some sort of rotational enforcement of it, but it's not quite the same enforcement as on the meter parking,
Yeah.
and it's just a little bit more time intensive, so everyone understands that.
The key to this particular block that makes it unique for Linda's point of view is you have two commercial buildings which have commercial businesses in, and I have multiple businesses in my building and multiple people that rent in the building. And you also have a street full of residential houses that don't have driveways. Some of them do have driveways, some of them are meant for Model Ts. They don't afford more than maybe one car. I mean, the house across the street from me, they can fit one car in the driveway. They've got 2 or 3 kids. They all have cars. And then the boyfriends and girlfriends come, they all have cars. There's a 6-unit next to me, has a driveway for 2 cars. It's a 6-unit property. So you can't put meters on the street because the residents can't unpack groceries and get in their cars. But you gotta help the businesses out a little bit because you got the county and the other people that are parking here, and there's nothing that's moving the traffic off the street. And the residents,
Just if I could say one thing, in conjunction with that, when we had the 2-hour signs, if we found somebody was there for consistently, and if you look at my pictures, you can actually see the same cars. You can see, like, you can go one day and you'll see the same car parked. And so after like a couple of days where somebody was there for 2 hours, we would call and say, this car's been here for 3 days, and somebody from parking would come and help us out. And that's how it was monitored through those 6
Okay,
years.
let me-
And I couldn't
let me just
prosecute those students
interject
because
here.
there was no legislation authorizing the 2-hour parking, so every one of them was dismissed.
All right, let me just go back to square one here. All right, we're really not here, we're having a good time discussing all the solutions and, meters, and that's really not why we're here. We're here to discuss the 2-hour parking. We really only have 2 options here. One is to not take any action, or somebody make a motion to put a 2-hour parking zone at that address. That's really, everything else that we're talking about really doesn't have a lot to do with this. That's our task right here.
and my last comment though, at the end of the day, in Linda's favor, the type of practice they have and the type of individuals and city residents that are going there are the elderly, they are handicapped, and they have feet problems. They don't move quickly. I see it. And in the wintertime, this is a safety issue for these people that are trying to get in. And I do think that we need to get these handicapped people closer to her business.
Steve,
Go ahead.
I'm in favor of giving them at least one of the 2-hour spots for the reason that the signs were already there for 6 years. It wasn't an issue. The businesses and residents around it were not complaining about it being there. Because the signs were there, nobody else was requesting 2-hour parking signs for 6 years while those were there. So I think I would motion to give them back at least one.
I mean, it's not, I don't know if it's fair, we're kinda yanking the rug out from under you, that even though the rug wasn't supposed to be there,
But we
it got
had
pulled
gone
out.
through the proper channels. I just want to, you know, it wasn't, I
No.
mean, we went to our alderman, we
Right.
assumed everything
I don't
was
think
good.
you, and nobody here disbelieved you, you know, I'm sure you talked to the mayor and whatever,
We may talk to
you
our
know,
alderman.
and we'll leave it at that, you know, I'm sure you.
Well, no,
you
and
did.
there's another, what's the, if we do this, what's to prevent other physicians, lawyers, whatever, coming back with very similar arguments? I have elderly people, I run there's a person on Main Street, just down the block, that operates physical therapy business. Also people who have hard time walking, because they've just had knee operations, et cetera, et cetera. Someone else is a therapist, someone else is a
Okay.
lawyer, someone, I mean, where
But-
does this stop?
But the
Is it
sign was
not-
already there for 6 years, and
Wait,
and
wait a
that
minute,
wasn't the
wait a minute.
case.
Please, let me finish, please. Is there anything in the city code that covers this?
No. And you've turned them down in the past, under similar circumstances with similar businesses. I mean, you know, the only difference is, as Jeff pointed out, it was there erroneously for quite a period of time. The representation that it was not a problem is not accurate, because there was no enforcement, because it wasn't in the code and tickets couldn't be prosecuted. So there was a problem, okay? But it goes back to what we were discussing with, the policy, before, and the need for a uniform approach to these issues, instead of, the council, agreeing to one and then disagreeing with another. Whatever way you wanna do it. It's just gotta remain consistent. And like you said, if you approve this, you are going to get similar requests from similar businesses who are gonna say, you gave it to them, give it to me.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
But I think also you have to look at the individual block and the individual
Absolutely.
circumstances.
I mean, our block is a problem because we're the first unmetered block. I mean, what we see in these pictures, if you care to.
No, I know this, I
If
know
you, if,
exactly
but
where it is.
our
It's
problem
I-
is
Redwood
the
Rocks, you know.
county is
Yeah.
parking, I mean, the people from uptown are parking on our block. This is different for two reasons. One, we're the first unmetered block from uptown, and two, we serve an elderly population. So this is indeed individual, and it's different than other situations that may happen. I mean,
I mean, uptown has meters, that pushes people to move their cars.
Can I'm the resident of the property across the street from where the signs were. Right in front of my house, two spots, 189, and the other one is the old Victorian duplex. The signs were there, they were perfect. They ended up they weren't being, people seen it and they moved, they didn't stay there all day. Like, they can go right back in front of my house again. It worked out great.
Okay. And listen, I really appreciate the comments, but again, we just have to decide whether to grant this or not. I'm sure there are many people that say it was no problem, but there may have been people we don't know about that it was a big problem to them. So we really
And they
can't
have
sit
an
here.
opportunity to be here tonight and they're not.
that's right.
Well, that's not necessarily true.
Oh, it absolutely is true, that's the purpose of the
No, it's
public
not
meeting.
true. I mean.
Trust me, I sit on the planning board for 10 years, if they don't like something, they show up and they tell it.
Well,
Because I'm used to getting yelled at.
She found me today, she
More
was in
so
my
than
yard.
And I don't get paid.
all right. Discussion? Anybody else? City, Ed, any?
You give me that piece of paper and I do what the paper tells me.
All right. Okay. Somebody want to make a motion?
I already motioned. So.
All right. Okay. Is there a second? I'm going to second. I would like this to go to the full council, see what everybody else has to say. But that being said, I'm not sure that I will vote for it. But I think everybody, I think.
So I
we
don't
guys have-
understand, if it comes out of this committee as passing and it goes to the council, then doesn't the council,
They have to vote on
they have to
Yeah.
vote on it, right?
Yeah,
So-
we're
But you're making a
We're only
recommendation.
voting to get this through this
Okay.
committee to the full council.
Okay, got it.
All right, so once it gets there, we're gonna have 9 other people with,
Perfect.
you know, probably 9 different opinions, and,
Perfect.
you know, we'll be back here, but it will be a
And
decision one way.
how soon will that be done?
That will be on the first Tuesday of August.
Oh, that's gonna be, is there a way, I'm going to be out of town, and I would really like to be there, is there a way to postpone that? August, so what's the date of the, yeah, it's August,
First Tuesday of every month.
August 5th. It's August 5th.
and I'm traveling. It can't be September, you can't put it on the schedule for September.
No.
I mean, you could table it, and you can take it up again next month, and then put it on
I
in
guess
September.
we could do that.
I mean, if that's
I would
the
really
request,
like to
you
be
know, you can
present,
certainly
because
do
I'm
that.
afraid, like what happened, I watched the video from last month, and what happened last month, I feel that you didn't really have adequate, information
But if it
to.
gets voted on tonight, it could be voted on and out of this committee, and then it's before the common council.
Actually, Dan, if we table it until September,
Well, you'd be
and we
tabling it-
approve-
You'd be
well-
tabling it till your August meeting.
right,
And then you would be adopting a resolution at your August
Right.
meeting,
And then
sending
it
it
would
to
go
the
but that
September
wasn't my
council.
question. My question was, and we approved the Andrea's legislation of today of going through the engineer.
But they'll be
Right.
there in September.
Then this would go through that process
Yeah.
instead.
Well, that's not a bad thing.
That's a better option, actually.
So you can make a motion to table it so that it is treated in accordance with the policy for the process.
Can I call
But it-
in?
Okay.
Can I?
But in the interim, all that's gonna do is get you a recommendation. You still, the council needs to make a decision.
Right.
Yes, but then the engineer will have the option to look at it,
Yes.
and it would give our decision more weight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have
And
more input.
Right, and DPW can also chime in and, you know, determine whether or not there are comparable handicap spots in front of other businesses that are the same distance from Uptown, and whether those requests were made and whether they were acted upon. You'll have full information in front of you so that you can have something more
Okay.
consistent.
Okay,
So I motion to table it.
how's that sound to everybody?
Okay, you wanna summarize that?
All right, we're just gonna table this until next month's meeting
That's what you need.
Next month's meeting of this committee?
of this committee.
Right.
And then if it passes through this committee, it will appear on September's.
And then
Okay.
assuming that the policy is adopted by the council at the August meeting, then this would go through that process and you get a recommendation from the engineer.
The referral process we just talked about will be in place then. So we'll have more input than just us sitting here. We'll have other
So
department
it's
heads.
tabled to the August meeting of this,
August
of this
meeting,
committee.
right.
Yeah, but then you gotta put more input, it's gotta go to engineering, might not even get to September, she's got elderly patients here.
I mean, yeah, our problem is that we can't get people in. We're trying, we see 3 people an hour, and as I said, we have people calling, and we just can't continue, I don't know how we get our patients in, that's our problem. If I have to, I'm trying to think if I can change my travel plans, it's awfully late to do it.
You can't speak at the common council meeting except during public comments anyway. You would get 3 minutes during public comments. There would not be this kind of discussion. That would be only
So
among the
technically, you
council
could write a
members.
letter
Oh,
and they
good,
could read it
okay,
into the
so
record.
let's
And
do
you're
it,
welcome.
let's
You
do it, let's do it.
You
because
can
we-
send a
answer
correspondence
that
to every
question.
alderman.
Okay, so the bigger problem is that we need to do this as soon as possible.
Okay.
So I would write, or I'll do something, I'll find a way for me to be present even. So,
Okay.
yeah. So if we could vote on it now, that would be great.
All right. And by we, you mean us.
I'll vote.
I know which way you're going.
Motion.
And,
Yes. So I
Okay.
withdraw my motion to table it, and my
You already
motion,
made a motion for a resolution, right?
yes.
Okay. So you're gonna stick by that? I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Here.
Okay. Okay, all right,
It didn't pass,
you are done.
so it didn't pass out of committee. 'cause
It
we
did.
don't-
It did, it passed.
Right.
It's
Two
two,
passed out of committee.
one, but the quorum is 3
Yeah,
of 5.
yeah, it's gotta be unanimous or it doesn't go.
Say again.
It has to be unanimous, because you need 3 for a positive
Okay,
vote,
so
because you are a
table.
committee of 5.
Yeah.
And
Then we have to
that's-
table.
yeah, thank you.
So
John
then-
was just whispering.
Thank you for
I was
that.
just trying to make sure, sorry.
Okay, so then we have to take, can we table it? Because then we can figure out it.
Well,
This is
either it's
ridiculous.
tabled or it's defeated, because you don't have 3 votes, so you're
Right.
better off tabling it.
All right.
You just had a vote, but they went home.
Oh, he was filling in for someone.
He's not on the committee.
He's not on the committee.
So how does he fill in?
Well, he could vote if he was here.
Is Rita on this committee?
She's not.
Or is she
Yes.
is on the committee?
Yes.
Any of us
Who
would
was that?
vote in any
Rita?
committee for sitting
Well,
here.
Rita is on the committee.
Okay, so
right?
could we table it then?
All right.
Yeah, okay.
You wanna go back to your,
This is ridiculous.
Dan?
It has to be
What?
unanimous.
Is that
Thank you.
possible after we already voted to table it now?
well, it's not a real vote, right? That vote really didn't.
It's not gonna make a difference, okay? Table it, bring it back next month when you have a full board, vote on it, send it to the committee, get a vote, take it. Follow the policy that you just adopted, give, DPW and the police department an opportunity to chime in as to whether or not this is something they agree to and whether or not it's consistent
Which I like
with what's
better.
going on. And move forward. The sign's been down for over a year,
Okay.
so an additional
Do you
month.
have the date of the sign coming down? Because I don't,
I
I don't.
believe it was taken down in it's been
Yeah, I
down
don't-
for, I believe it was July of 18.
I disagree with you. I don't
But
think it's been-
my question is procedure-wise, is it after we voted on it, can we then now, what do we do to table it? Do we withdraw
Yeah, we
that
gotta-
vote?
I understand what he's saying. We just had a vote, which effectively
Well, you can,
killed it.
you could send it to the council with a negative recommendation, you could, I mean, or you can, make
Take
a
it away.
motion to table it, and I don't think anybody's gonna object.
But would the motion to table it overrule the vote we just had? Because we
There's a
already
vote on the
voted.
table which says no.
So can
And
another
he
resolution?
said he wants to,
another-
I'm not gonna
Cancel the vote.
discuss that in a public meeting with regard to whether or not there's there's a possible defect. If you want everyone to step out, I can certainly advise you in private, but that's an issue that potentially could be litigated, and I'm not gonna, give legal advice about a potentially litigated issue in a public meeting.
I just want to make sure we're following. So can we go into executive session? Because I just want to make sure
So
we're,
you make a motion to consult with counsel,
yes.
it's not executive session.
Okay, motion.
Not anymore.